Welcome beyond the Reiki Gateway. I'm your host, Andrea Kennedy. Like countless others, Reiki found me when I wasn't even looking, and then it ignited a whole new world of questions. This podcast explores topics of interest for the spiritually curious. Join me for discussions and special guests on subjects such as past lives, crystal healing, spiritual awakening, ascension, energy healing, and more, all to assist and inspire you along your unique soul's journey. This episode is sponsored by Mainstream Reiki, offering classes, a community, sessions, and resources. Visit mainstreamreiki.com to find out more. Welcome to Beyond the Reiki Gateway. I'm Andrea Kennedy, your host, and today I've got Stephanie Banks here to share with you. She's an incredible intuitive channel, author, and mentor who helps people access soul-level wisdom. Formerly a speech therapist, Stephanie discovered channeling during her mother's dementia journey when traditional communication no longer worked. It became a powerful, heart-centered bridge. Today, she supports others through major life transitions, relationship challenges, decision making, and even animal connection, all through conscious channeling. We'll talk to her about her approach, and we'll also talk about how she channels for the living and how each of us can begin to access this inner guidance ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to everything you have to share with us, Stephanie. It's so fresh and new every time I talk to somebody about these topics because we all are unique in how we might approach it. And so, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrea. It's an honor and pleasure, and I'm excited for our conversation.
Me too. You offer various angles, various voices, and can tune in for people of all walks and beliefs and from anywhere in the world. So I love that it's what you do is very unique to each person that comes to you. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
Yes, and I think one of the most exciting things about the channeling that I do is, as you and I were speaking before we started recording, I'm channeling souls that are here in body right now. I do mediumship as well, those that are on the other side. But if you want to know what gets me really excited, it's channeling those that are here moving around. Our children, our spouses, our supervisors, our living relatives, our living friends, our not friends, everybody that's walking about here with us. And when we can connect on the soul level in that way, it does have the capacity to change the entire relationship and create a platform, a possibility of healing and transformation. So that's what I feel like my soul most wants to dedicate itself to, is those that are here in body so we can understand ourselves better.
That is very unique. I also want to ask you about that word channeling because, as you mentioned a second ago, meant mediumship. Let's start there. How do you define channeling and how is that different than mediumship?
So I will define it, and I also am of a newer orientation to have them all be in one category, which is simply spirit. But to the mainstream way that we like to have things defined and in neat little containers and descriptions, I define channeling as connecting to divine energy and wisdom. And that's not something that exists outside of us. That's actually something that's within us. And for me, it's been a matter of learning how to get out of my own way so that these messages can flow through me and provide the guidance and the insight and the support and the love that I'm looking for or that my clients are looking for. So channeling is connecting to any divine energy and wisdom. And mediumship, what a lot of people define it as, is channeling from the perspective of those on the other side. So our ancestors and loved ones who have been in body but are no longer in physicality. That's often what's referred to as mediumship. And then again, I would say it's all spirit. So I sometimes get hung up on the language, but we don't need to, because it's all this beautiful vastness of what goes beyond what we see.
Helene Wabe, who was on the show recently, I think she also had quite an umbrella uh, way of defining channeling, similar to what I'm hearing you describe.
That's great because she is someone I really look up to. And so if we are aligned in this, that feels wonderful. I've learned a lot from her and her research and the way she speaks about channeling. So yay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And a moment ago, I mentioned how a little bit how you got started with this. Your mother had dementia, and I think for our audience, this is really important to hear because I was really connected with your story because of this. This really got me. There's a practicality to it. There's a groundedness to it. So many people are, I will say, caregiving now for parents, perhaps, or family members that are going through things like this. And perhaps we're getting older and we're also thinking about how things will unfold for ourselves. And I did want to highlight this part of your journey. It was such a pivotal point for you. What happened?
My mom had a much lesser known type of dementia. Now they have more research around it. It's called frontotemporal dementia. It affects the frontal lobes and the temporal lobes of the brain, and it affects younger people. Her symptoms started in her 50s, early 50s, maybe even late 40s. Boy, it changed everything. It changed our whole family dynamic. It changed my relationship with her. It changed our ability to understand each other. We had so much frustration and miscommunication and misunderstanding. And I have a background as a speech pathologist. So one might think, oh, you got this. This is what you do all day, right? You work with people who have cognitive challenges. But it's very, very different when it's your parent. And there's all the emotional components and the historical components that are already part of that relationship. So, as our connection and our relationship was really breaking down and breaking apart as a result of her dementia, the universe gave me a best friend who was a phenomenal channel. And I'm only using past tense because she has passed on. But I asked her, would you please channel my mom for me? Because I'd seen her channel all these other living beings. And I thought, if I could tap into that, maybe there's some insight that I'm missing that will help me protect and preserve my relationship with my mom. So she did. She channeled my mom for me multiple times. And I got to ask the questions that were on my heart. What do you need from me? What are our souls here to do together? Where am I missing the mark? How can I allow you to be the grandmother you really want to be without feeling like I have to run ahead of you and prepare everything or intervene? And so her soul was able to answer all of this for me, where she could not in the body with her cognition breaking apart. Her soul could give me that clarity. And it did change our relationship. It did save us as mother-daughter, relationships go. And it improved everything, and it made things so much more smooth and loving and joyful. We would laugh a lot. You have to kind of laugh at dementia, otherwise you spend all your time crying. And it was powerful. It was life-changing. And at that point I figured, if this is what channeling can do for me and my mom, what else could it do for other relationships in my life? I have to learn how to do this for myself. So I did.
Was it your friend who taught you, or how did you move forward?
She was a model for me, but she wasn't a teacher in that way. She sent me to her mentor, who luckily lived locally, and I went to classes with her, and she taught us how to use a pendulum. She taught us how to use a letter grid to get words spelled out, to get the names of our spirit guides spelled out. Wild things that I never even thought were going to be part of my experience with channeling. And that's where I started. And then I continued on with my work with Sonia Choquette, who's a world-renowned psychic medium. She, at the time, was still living in the States, and I went to all of her levels of training for her courses. And I remember the moment I was looking for my next course, I was sitting in the carpool line at school and talking to my guides. And I said, okay, where's my next class? Who's my next teacher? And the guides laughed and they laughed. And I was like, well, I'm not joking. I'm ready for another class. And they said, oh, no, sweetheart, you are done with the courses for now. It's time for you to serve the people. I sat with that for a while. My heart was racing because I was trying to imagine, am I really ready for that? Does one ever feel ready for it? What if I get it wrong? What if I cause harm? What if there's chaos that's a result of this? And I agreed to them then, if that's true, if you really find me to be ready enough, then I will serve, but please be the gatekeepers so that those I serve are as close a vibrational match to my natural state as possible, because I knew if I was serving those who were in deep density or just a mismatch for my frequency, it would take me a long time to recover from that. So they have kept me, kept the client base right in that field of vibration, and I've been very, very lucky.
I love your story and sitting in the carpool line. So mainstream, right? I want to go back just a little bit. Um, and I don't want to let the story with your mom go quite yet. What did you learn from the channeling in that situation that other people might also be helped with? What new insights perhaps did you receive?
My mother's soul was really clear on all the things I was doing wrong. Yippee. But that's what I was asking
Yes.
for, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, how can we be more connected? How can I honor what we are here to do? Because I knew I had awareness that my need to control, or my need to be a healer, or my need to predict what was going to happen and then stay ahead of it was really interfering with our relationship. One of the things she told me that I was surprised to learn and very grateful to be able to address was, she said that I was getting in the way of her soul agreement with my father. And where I was trying to protect my father from some of my mom's severe mood swings and changes and harsh words and unpredictable behaviors, she basically was telling me, back off. We have our own thing going on here and we know what we're doing. And when you interfere in that, it's not in service. It's not in the highest service. So I learned how to be a better observer, and I learned how to nurture a relationship with my dad that was apart and separate from what he and my mom had going on. And that really did serve beautifully, because then once she did pass, he and I had a foundation to move forward with. And it wasn't simply based on all attention and all focus on my mother. So she shared that with me. She shared that this was this past lifetime we're talking about now was one that was intended to be, she was intended to be the center of attention. And this is what her soul needed. It's what it wanted. It's what helped her to thrive. And so where I was feeling frustration with that like attention getting or attention seeking or whatever I had judgment around, that was actually in service to her self-expression and her soul's journey and expansion. So I learned how to back away from trying to manage and control that. She showed me how much fun and humor there still was to be had in our journey together. So that kind of flipped a switch for us. We got really playful. We got really silly. We danced around the kitchen island for no reason at all. We made up goofy songs. We just had fun. Her soul allowed me to see I was missing opportunities to really have a good time with my mom and to join her instead of trying to manage her.
That's really powerful, Stephanie. And I have to imagine that reframing and recalibrating of the relationship aspects between the three of you, that had to make so much difference and also be freeing, right? Because it sounds like if I'm hearing you correctly, I think it's very normal too. I think all of us would do that, kind of hold on and try to make things a certain way or how we think they need to be, not knowing, but just trying, whatever we could possibly do to normalize or it's, I would think it's so hard to know what we're really trying to even do. But to have that guidance, it just makes me almost exhale. It had to change everything.
It did. You're right. It offered just spaciousness for us. And it's interesting because as a clinician, I would sit with patients in the hospitals where I would work, and we would like sometimes do drills. What's today? What time is it? What year is it? Who's the president? Like trying to orient the person. And then I would take my data and notice when the patient was improving there or not. And so I was kind of in some ways applying that with my mom, which she quickly, um, helped me decide that was not effective, not a good choice. But I realized that doesn't let me be in her world. If she thinks that she needs to wear a sweater when it's 95 degrees outside to go for a walk outside, why am I trying to argue with her about that? Why don't I just get her darn sweater, let her wear it until she's hot, and then I'll hold it for the rest of the walk? There's just smoother paths to take that will allow for a relationship to really thrive, even if a person is losing their connection to whatever we call reality.
I love that. You did air quotes, whatever we call reality. Yes, because that is a question, isn't it? It definitely is a matter of perspective. In your work, you work with animals too, nature, as we said, people on the other side, people living. And through all of your sessions throughout these years, I'm curious, what have you learned about the soul, about reality? And I want to say it like this too. I'm not asking you for the truth. I'm just asking you for, from your current level of understanding, what do you think you've learned?
Yeah. Thank you for delineating because I'm only speaking my truth. I don't know what will resonate with others, but time and again in my channeled messages, I am awed by the wisdom of all of our souls. Our souls know exactly what we're doing. We have just gone through a steady process as humans of being disconnected from that inner wisdom and from that confidence and intuitive sense that we all had innate when we were younger. So I learned that most of what we are here to do is to learn to love more expansively, unconditionally, more perfect love, agape, you might call it. And in order to do that, believe it or not, the soul calls in challenging relationships and circumstances so that we can expand and grow, so we can peel away the layers of what we thought we absolutely knew, what was absolutely true, based on what others told us, by the way, and get to our own center. So I feel like it's every time I channel, it's I wouldn't necessarily call it a learning, but I would call it a remembering, kind of remembering who we are, why we're here. And even those that we find it very easy to judge, those whose behaviors are abhorrent or cause harm or cruelty, etc., even those are our souls who are here to learn how to love better. And there's a whole host of things we have not yet remembered about the truth of them that would illuminate how and why they are the way they are and how we can actually connect with them.
Specifically, Stephanie, when you channel animals, what have the animals shown you or taught you?
The animals always offer us the purest, loving vibration. They know nothing else. They don't harbor resentments. They don't have complicated stories. They're just in the moment. So they are our greatest teachers for that. And this is why I love to channel them. So whether it's animals in the wild or our companion animals, that's what they're guiding us back to. For example, when I channel elephants, which they are one of my favorite animals ever, they are so family oriented, so tribe oriented. They protect each other, they stick together, they honor their deceased, they gather around in mourning. I mean, it's just, if you read about elephants, it just makes me weep how beautiful these creatures are and how intelligent and deeply connected they are to one another. So we can learn from that. That's in us too. We have just been, I believe, trained away from that. There's a lot of divisiveness that we're being conditioned around. And so, but elephants are clean and clear when it comes to that. And then dogs, I happen to have a slight obsession with dogs. I currently have 4 senior dogs. And they are always teaching me, whether it's live in the body, their antics, or their spirits communicating to me, just how precious it is to be here, just how magnificent and miraculous it is to be living life here. So that's what the animal kingdom really wants to bring us back to, is our present moment, our care for ourselves, because they don't feel guilty when they eat a little more than their share. Right? They don't feel guilty when they make an extra nice nest, that's better than the mockingbird next door. So they just have a lot to teach us in terms of simple living and honoring who we are and what we need.
That's so funny. It's like keeping up with the Joneses bird style or something. Yeah, it just doesn't really happen, does it? Those are really, really good lessons. As you channel animals versus living people, you also channel ascended masters and angels and things like that. Is that also true? D Does it feel different for you, or is the energy different?
It does. It feels very different. Depending on the soul that I'm channeling too. If it's just a regular old soul, they all have a different cadence and frequency feel as well. A lot of times personality comes through when I'm channeling, which is fun for me and really fun for the person I'm channeling for, the family member or loved one, because they'll say, oh my gosh, that's exactly how he sounds, or those are the phrases that he uses. So that's fun. But I feel like the um when I'm channeling, say, the angelic realm or the ascended masters, or some people have a living guru or a guru on the other side that they're very much lovingly connected to, and they would like to hear from them. I I feel um, I am guided to arrange my body differently. Oftentimes, there is an energy of a being that I channel who always. Right now in our interview, Andrea, I'm sitting cross-legged. It's just where I'm most comfortable, and that's usually how I channel. But when I channel this particular soul, she says, "Straighten up your body. Put your legs down. Put your feet flat on the earth. Square your shoulders." She gives me a whole bunch of orders, and I just, like a soldier, I just do it because out of respect and honor to how her energy wants to come through, I absolutely will bow to that. So they all do. They have a different feel, and I appreciate it so much because sometimes I can identify, like, who is here. Ah, yes, I recognize this one. This one has me fix my body and my feet, or this one has me slow down my words. There are some souls really want to make a point in a different way. So instead of talking quickly, which is what I'm used to, they will have me pause. They will have me slow down almost to a pace that's uncomfortable for me, but I do as I'm told.
They must love working with you because you're so open to direction.
I am very compliant in this area of my life, maybe not so much others.
Can you share something that came through that really just totally took you by surprise?
I think I'd have to go back to my mom's shared wisdom. For a while, when she told me specifically that my actions, though well-meaning, were actually having a negative impact on her and on her relationship with my father and on our family dynamics. That was heavy. That was kind of how I was identifying myself as a good daughter. And so I really had to re-examine and reevaluate and reestablish how and who I wanted to be with her. Um, and for her and for my father. So that was like a big point of transformation for me, and that was very, very surprising. I'm not really surprised by much anymore. I've been doing this for so long. I'm delighted by all of it, but not much takes me by surprise anymore. It's just rather fascinating.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for that. I can only imagine how that would have been so difficult. I've seen in the, I don't know, ether lately, or whatever's coming into my awareness, there is more of the idea of other beings from other constellations and, other places in the universe coming through. Do you channel those beings or do those come up in your sessions?
They do with some of my clients. Some of my clients are much further in their spiritual journey than I am. So they will ask for energies or entities that I don't have any familiarity with. I'll have to ask them, okay, who is that? What do they do? What's their role? And I don't mind showing my ignorance here. I can't know everything about everything. If I had to identify my zone of genius, it's channeling for personal transformation. So it is the souls that are here wanting to elevate us and bring us into a higher way with our relationships with ourselves and with all life around us. But yes, there will be I have plenty of clients who ask to hear from souls or entities that I'm not familiar with, and I don't need to be familiar with them to bring forward what they're wanting or needing to hear at the moment. Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of courage, Stephanie. I, that's where I am with this right now. To go into completely unknown territory, which I would think comes right along with it, of course. But to imagine that unfolding, whew, how did you how did you become so fearless in that?
Mm. Oh, I'm not fearless. I just have more courage than fear much of the time. Yeah, I just have more willingness to be utilized as a vessel of love. Um, but I want everyone to know that I have just as much fear as the next person, right? I'm human. I've had my human experiences. They continue to unfold. I worry for the natural world every moment of every day, given what is happening to it from human behaviors and from we'll avoid all the things, but you know exactly what I'm getting at. And so it's a constant walk for me to recenter and recenter and recenter because I can slide into that fearful place, especially when I stay abreast of the news, of what is actually going on in the outside world. It's all geared towards inciting fear, even though I'm only following the best journalists who are very, very balanced and honest in their reporting. So I have fear, and it just sits here on my shoulder. And we walk into the engagements together. We walk into the channeled messages together. My guides of protection are my greatest assets. And so I always know that even though my mind might be in the replay of fear, my guides are bouncing off and deflecting from me anything that could be harmful, anything that is not for me. And I fully trust that. So that's how I'm able to keep showing up and doing this work is I know I'm protected. I also know how to invoke and invite that protection and create it around me. And I'm coming from love, and love always wins. No matter what it looks like outside, love always wins.
I couldn't agree more with that. Where does your higher self fit in with the guides that you mentioned?
Yeah. She's right there with them. Again, if we're going on the big umbrella, higher self guides, it's all this beautiful, powerful, loving, generative energy that is illuminating my path. So my higher self gives me specific guidance all the time. She helps me with my parenting, but so again do my parenting guides, and so do the higher self of my children. Right, like I'm getting influence and support and guidance from many, many different perspectives, and so I feel like the higher self fits in as the aspect of us that is eternal, right? The soul aspect that never dies. It comes for many, many, many experiences and lifetimes in order to get closer to source, God, creator, love, whatever you call that energy, and plays out different dynamics so we can have more access, faster access. Sometimes the most challenging relationships are the ones that catapult us most quickly into that love.
That's a wonderful reminder and a good time to remember that, I think, for sure. Now, you're very committed to teaching other people who want to learn this. Um, and you do say that everybody can learn it, correct?
100%. Yeah, I definitely believe that. If you want to, and if you're willing to put in the practice, you can't just say, I want to learn it and expect to have access, because that's not really how it works in my experience. But if you want to learn to channel and you want to learn to trust your intuition and connect with your guides and your higher self and the souls that are here and your ancestors and loved ones and the animal beings and the trees and everything, yes, you can.
And never be bored again.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's got to be wild. So, as you move about your day, how do you walk in both worlds?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm pretty clean about my boundaries. I have a ritual that I do before I channel for a client that clears me and sets the energetic so that I can receive. I also have a closing ritual that I do with cord. These are my high-tech cord cutting scissors. And I just move them around and disconnect from any energetic cords that might remain. And then I can go off to Costco
Right.
and then engage with the outer world and know that I might be, I do have some visits and some connections that happen in the cereal aisle, but they're not bothersome to me. If they are a little pesky, I'll say, not now. I'll meet with you next time I'm channeling. But sometimes it's like my mom who wants to say something from the other side, or my grandmother, or one of my children that I'm sensing needs a little something more from me. So I'm open to receiving most anytime, because I have made it very clear that I'm only open to receiving the highest loving frequency.
That's so important, I think, what you've just shared, because it demonstrates your sovereignty and your energy, and that there's no need to have fear about connecting. And I wonder if you could talk about fear, because a lot of people do have that. Once we start going into these more um, unfamiliar, unremembered skills, unremembered ways of being um, ourselves, fear is a really big obstacle for so many people. What can you share about that?
That's absolutely right. And when I ask people in my classes, what are your greatest concerns or fears? It's always, what if dark energy comes in? What if it's a negative, voice? What if they create problems, et cetera, et cetera? So it's a very natural thing to be worried about. We've also been nurtured on that. So this didn't happen in a vacuum. Right? A lot of people, whether it's from religious upbringing or cultural traditions or whatever it is, have a concern that this is going to be, that they're going to be at risk somehow if they open up to channeling. So what I teach is, first and foremost, the foundation must be that you attune to your inner state. If I am at a low frequency, I am actually a point of attraction for low frequency. This is universal law. I'm not making it up. It's just what's known. And so if I maintain myself at a high vibrational loving frequency, which I do, you can feel it from me. I do this through nurturing in the natural world. I do this through dark chocolate. I do this through really good rest and sleep and all, tending to good friendships and thousands of different ways to do this. But this keeps my energetics at a certain point. This makes it nearly impossible for any riffraff, low vibe frequency to penetrate my field because I am bringing light. I am emanating light. Now, if I'm grumpy and grouchy and irritable and I haven't slept and I don't feel well and I'm angry and all this, I do not channel for people because that's not fair to them. And I'm basically inviting like a lower frequency to enter the field. And that's not what I want to do. So it really starts and ends with how we maintain ourselves as our own frequencies.
And what kind of practices do you do regularly to help yourself? Because I think perhaps that could be helpful for our listeners and our viewers on YouTube.
Yeah, and they're simple. Like you do not have to go out and buy expensive things or take expensive courses. You don't have to take my classes. You can basically first off tend to your most basic needs. That is sleep, that is hydration, that is high vibrational food, that is nurturing relationships, all the things that you need as a foundation. That must be tended to primarily. For me, my garden provides me with such high vibrational joy. And so I go outside in between sessions and I watch the dragonflies and the butterflies and the fruit that is growing and the little mouse that comes to eat the cracked corn that I put out in the bird seed. Like it's just beautiful. And all of us have this innate connection to the natural world, the trees, the animals, the plants, the earth, the worms. I move worms off the sidewalk into like earthy areas so they don't dry out. So connecting to these all life forms is something that will help you with your channeling, believe it or not, because then you're acknowledging the beauty and perfection and miracle of life in your life as well. There's also meditation. I believe that's essential, but you don't have to be a perfect meditator. I probably am a very mediocre, and that's probably being generous. I'm probably a very mediocre meditator. I don't do it perfectly. My thoughts run wild, but I show up to it nonetheless. And that's the whole point. There's breath work. You can learn how to connect your breath and slow that down and utilize it as a point of relaxation and centeredness. There's body work you can do. If you find a really good energy and body healer, that's very effective. I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many ways. And for each of us, it is a little bit different. But foundationally speaking, I find that meditation is crucial. Mantra, having something you repeat to yourself that is supportive and loving and nurturing, and some sort of ritual practices that you do.
Those are all wonderful. And yeah, certainly, probably whatever resonates, right? Because they may change their mind, and that's okay. Nothing's rigid. We want to spend our time and our focus certainly on things that do make us feel better. Uh, I'm just not about shoulds, and doing things out of the should energy. But would you say that all students are welcome, or it's a good idea for anybody who wants to do this to do it, or are there yield signs, or are there certain people who maybe channeling isn't for?
Hmm. I I think I still believe that channeling is for all of us if we use it for ourselves. If you are using it for someone else, like in a capacity, professional capacity, like I am, oh boy, you have to hold yourself to a whole different level of standards. And that I take very, very, very seriously. So, and I do teach those who are either already channeling professionally and want to, work on different things, or who are looking to incorporate that into their professional work. So I teach from that perspective. I teach it, I'd say, more seriously, because I think we have a higher responsibility if we are bringing forward messages for others to ensure that they are of pure love and not something that's going to take someone off their path or create chaos or confusion for them. And I've seen that happen a lot with people who have come to sessions with me. They've said, I was told this years ago by someone. They said this was going to happen, and I've been afraid of it ever since. Or they told me that, they've heard all kinds of scary things that have been very disruptive to their relationship to themselves, to their relationship to spirit, to their experience of life. So I'm pretty serious about that. That's not any part of what I'm teaching. That's not any part of loving channeling, actually, or of the highest vibrational frequency. So most of the time, the people who are in my courses are wanting to trust themselves more. They're not saying, I want to take this out to the global world and, and have this be a livelihood. And I think that is the best place to be. That's where I started. I saw what it did with my mom and I, for us. And I said, okay, how can I apply this more to myself? How can I be a better sister, mother, daughter, friend, aunt, in my world by using channeling and trusting myself in what comes through? So that's where we all need to be starting. And then if that extends outward and you find that you're also a healer and you want to use it in your healing capacity, or you want to use it in this or that, absolutely. There are beautiful pathways to do that. But first and foremost, bring it in for yourself. Use it just for yourself. Don't go around sharing messages. Even if you think you got one for someone else, you can cause chaos and harm.
I'm so glad that our conversation went in this direction because, I have run into people myself and they have said things like that. Oh, well, I went to a psychic 25 years ago and they told me my soulmate looked like this. And here they are, older. If the person didn't fit the description, they said no to any invitation. And now they're all alone. And it brings up these questions like, you know, where does that information come from? Maybe the psychic's just reading your own thought. So as you describe this, it really does open a door to this whole question of expectations and boundaries and, ethics. So I'm so glad that we went there. But that has me asking, if we're channeling living beings, how can we do that in a way that doesn't cause an issue? Uh, Because does the person being channeled always know that they're being channeled? It could get sticky, right?
Of course it could. In my experience, the people that I'm channeling never know they're being channeled. This is not like a, hey, who's in my field? Get out of there, Stephanie. No, I've never, ever had anyone say to me that I know you're channeling me or have any sense for it. Because I'm channeling from the perspective of their higher self
Uh-huh.
or their guides. So they're not likely to feel something, to sense something. You'd have to be so finely attuned to all things of your own essence. I'm not even that attuned. There could be people channeling me now and I would not have any awareness of it, but I trust that my guides are bumping them off and bouncing, taking care of things. So yes, it could be sticky if you go around saying, hey husband, I'm going to get online now. I'm going to channel your soul and find out why you're such a creep. What? That can be a problem. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
But it's really intended. The channeling that I do is always for deeper compassion, deeper understanding. The underlying desire is love and improved relationships and greater care for one another. So for that, it stays really clean. It's
Yes.
nothing that I worry about. But again, I always tell everyone taking my classes or wondering about this, don't go around sharing what you think you're channeling. Also, people will say, okay, so this session was great. You helped me understand my husband more. Can I share this session with him? And now it's not my decision to make because it's their session and their recording, but I will always say, listen to your intuition. And if any part of you is hesitant, go with the part that's hesitant and do not share it right now. Because again, if that person feels intruded upon, if that person feels exposed, if that person feels exploited in some way, and the channeling never does exploit anyone, but that's all they'll need to feel mistrust, and then you have just undermined the whole reason why you connected to them.
Correct. Hmm. Yeah, that is a lot to think about. It's a lot to it's a lot to reflect on. And it's funny that you said that too about somebody could be channeling me right now. Because, on my YouTube channel too, I mean, I really put myself out there and people are, I'm sure, sending me all kinds of stuff, every time they're looking at my video or whatever. And people have said, how do you handle that? Or isn't the energy crazy? And it's like, it's all being taken care of because it's not affecting me, at least to my knowledge. So, but yeah, so it is interesting to start thinking about or considering boundaries and how they work and intention. And what I'm hearing you say too is that intention is really everything.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
sets the
I
stage. Yeah.
absolutely. It kind of has to be. It sets right, exactly. It sets the tone, sets the stage. Yeah.
And you mentioned about suggesting to your clients that they follow their intuition. How can we trust the intuition? Do you have any guidance, any tips that can help people believe it?
Yes, this is such a big deal, isn't it?
Mhm.
I can even fall into doubt myself. It's a very slippery slope. So, intuition is usually the first thing that comes through before we start to run it up the flagpole of self doubt and insecurity. So, if you can pay enough attention to your sense for things, your inner sense, and that first hit, that first thing you get, that is usually the thing to trust. That's usually your voice of intuition telling you, yes, this is for me, or no, or whatever it is. But if you blink, if you wait too long, then all of your thoughts, all of your fears, all of your conditioning from society, from culture, from family, from religion comes pouring in. And then we're in this swampy water of uncertainty and insecurity and doubting ourselves. So there are many, many practices out there that will tap people back into their intuition. And really anything we talked about before, anything that serves you in being a clearer channel is going to serve you having access to and trusting your intuition because they're one and the same. Channeling goes through the place of intuition, comes also through the place of imagination so that you can see and understand different aspects. But that's going to be the answer to, for you. Also, take stock of your relationships. Are you in any gaslighting relationships? That can really mess with your sense of your own intuition and your trust in yourself. Are you in any other types of abusive relationships? Where can you create more love and more clarity for yourself in your day-to-day life? That is going to feed your intuition and your connection to it really beautifully.
Very well said. I think if more people could just trust their inner guidance, the whole world would be different, right?
Absolutely. And you know what else is a really good vessel for trusting the inner truth is the body. Your body will never lie to you. It's never going to show a disruption if none is there. It's never going to show a problem if none are there. So you can use your body as this beautifully, perfectly designed vessel to give you information and to trust that information that's coming through. By the time your body's showing it, it's usually been in process for a while. You're getting the latent stages of a disruption, but trust it. Always trust the body.
Can you give an example of that?
Well, there are some people that I have had to learn not to spend time with. And over the years, I have forced myself, for one reason or another, to spend time with these people. Now, in some ways, if it's a family member, you sometimes can't control that. But I'm not speaking about family members, I'm talking about other people. And my body would signal me with a racing heart rate
Oh,
before I would interact with that person. My body would signal me with a headache out of nowhere. I don't normally get headaches before or after or during my experiences with that person. My body would signal me with gastrointestinal discomfort, right? Like these are all very obvious, clear signs, physical signs that something is not for me. And so if I override them, then I deal with the ramifications of that. But if I honor and listen to that, then I enjoy a very content body.
I'm so glad that I asked that because how many times do we not pay attention or we just think like, "Oh, that's the thing I ate," or whatever, and I so appreciate that you've really brought that to the forefront. It could be something totally different. Awareness is just everything. Being awake. And as you teach more people this, oh, let me back up. Are you seeing that more and more people want to learn it over time?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the beauty of being here now is we are in a great awakening. It doesn't look like that sometimes or all the time, but I know we are. I channel it all the time, so it's true. It's true for me. That's what I'm serving into. So being in this awakening with others, this is the hunger. The hunger is to understand ourselves and each other better so we can imagine the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible and serve into that.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm so excited to be on Earth right now. And I'm very excited that more people want to channel and that it's just a natural part of who we are. And I'll just go back to what I said a few minutes ago, and that is the whole world would be different if everybody did this. I mean, if even half the people on the planet were doing this, or probably a lot less, right? But I think this is the future. We've been seeing or hearing about telepathy more, the
Mhm.
telepathy tapes and things like that. And um, communication is going to change everything. Our advancement in communication and getting away from, how our reliance on language the way we've always thought, maybe.
I totally agree. It is very exciting and beautiful and powerful and also a real nail biter, isn't it? What will we decide, right? What will humanity choose?
Yeah, I think it'll all work out in the end, but hold on tight.
Exactly.
Right. And so, gosh, I think what I want to do is I want to ask you one more thing about your classes and the students. Do you find that when students come to the class, we talked about the fear factor thing, but do you find that it's actually a healing journey for them? Do they need to heal things that are maybe in their way first? And does the coursework help them do that?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Um, we are all engaging in that way for healing. I'm healing too, as I listen to their stories and I get to know their souls better and their spirit team and teach the aspects of what I know to be helpful and useful simply because it's been helpful and useful to me on my path. There is a lot that occurs. I view my job when I'm teaching this to really be um, present enough opportunities for them to try out new things that they don't have a preconceived notion about. So they can just dive in, swim around, and see. And then they always emerge with like a wow, I heard something. I got something. I wrote something. I sensed something. And then of course they'll say, is it real though? Is that just wishful thinking? And that's exactly what we were talking about before. The first thing you get, the wow, that's your intuition. That's your inner truth. That's your inner wisdom talking. Yes, yes, it's real. Can we prove it with mechanics and other things? No, No, we can't. And that's all right. We would waste so much time if we were having to prove everything that comes through us. So if it feels amazing and open and light and real and true to you, yeah, we get to keep going in that direction.
What a wonderful message. I love it. And we all are journeying. And I think one of the things that you have so kindly shared is we're all in progress, right? We're all in motion. And you don't have to be perfect to do this kind of thing. We just need to have the intention, do the work, be in integrity, and allow ourselves, to have the human experience at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think that's what makes this hilarious. It's combining, right? The human experience, which is really funny. The things we do, the things we think, the behaviors, all the things, we're hilarious beings. And then you add the wisdom of spirit to that, and you have this whole beautiful, complete journey, as you said. And it really is meant to be magnificent. And I am finding it to be exactly that.
Finally, Stephanie, I'd like to ask, you offer sessions for people and for our audience. What are the common reasons people would have a session? What sort of things are they asking about or seeking clarification about?
My area of deepest interest and expertise is in relationships, how we relate to one another. So most of the clients that come to me are wanting to hear from their higher self. Am I on the right path? Is this, they might have an upcoming decision or something that they're trying to sort out, and they want to hear from their soul. What would be in the highest service for my soul? And a lot of clients are coming to me saying, I'm a mother of a teenager or a child, and I am not understanding, our communication is really breaking down. I need to know what they need from me. How do I support them best? I work with couples who want to understand what their soul agreements are and how they can be in service to each other, or why they're bumping up against the same frustrating blocks with one another that they have. I work with people who, similar to me, have a loved one with dementia, and they want to know what, my loved one can't communicate clearly to me anymore. What do they need? Do they know I'm here? What do they want to tell me? What do they want to share? What's meaningful to them right now? So all of this and more is available through channeling, and it's really a shortcut, to spending years of guessing or trial and error and error and error. When you go to the soul, you just get the essence of things, and that's so useful.
The clarity. I just can't underscore how much peace can be found in the clarity. I would imagine that we have people listening who've made it this far in the episode and they're like, wow, that so resonates with me, right? Or I've been wondering that. So I'm really excited for them to hear this, because the road to clarity can change everything. And just like you shared with your mother and how transformative that was, how helpful. And so I just want to thank you so much for really coming full circle. And we covered so many different things, and you were a wonderful sport as we did that. So I want to thank you for being here, Stephanie, so very much. Can you tell our audience how to reach you?
Yes, and thank you, Andrea. What you're doing is such a labor of love, and your own dharma and soul's path. So you're touching so many, and I'm really grateful for you and your work. And my website is soulinsight.com.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's been a real joy.
For me as well, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And you can check the show notes or visit the website beyondthereikigateway.com to find out more about the podcast and connect with me. Please keep in mind that views and opinions expressed in the show don't necessarily reflect those of the podcast or anyone affiliated with its production or advertising. This program is presented for your entertainment only, and all information provided is to be utilized at the listener's own discretion. I, along with the BTRG team, hope you enjoy the show as much as we enjoy making it for you. Wishing you highest blessings until we meet again beyond the Reiki Gateway.